What is up, you guys? So I got a pretty good video today. I don't really talk about this too often on my channel, but I feel like I should talk about it a little more, but I definitely want to talk about something specific today. And we're going to be talking about credit scores. So I remember when I had first got my credit card, I got the Discover It credit card back when I was like 18. One of my friends who I went to high school with, he got a credit card and he was telling me about it. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, I don't know. He just showed me the app and kind of like I had known about credit cards. I didn't necessarily know exactly how they worked. But he showed me the app and kind of, how it worked and everything. I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. And he told me that, you're supposed to, earn a good credit score and build up your credit score and, show proof of good payments. And it's kind of a process to get yourself, you know, in territory of a good credit score, I guess you could say. So I was intrigued and I ended up taking one out and I was checking my credit score constantly. I was like, I cared so much about what it was and if it moved up or if it moved down. I think I remember the first time my credit score dropped like pretty significantly, not because I didn't. Oh, this is what it was. When I paid off my student loans, my credit score actually dropped, which was really strange to me. And I found out that like paying off, some form of debt could actually hurt your score because it could shorten your um, you know, it'll shorten the span of your oldest account that's active, as well as reduce the number of active accounts. So there's different factors in it. I don't honestly I don't know all the ins and outs. I'm familiar with credit scores, how they work. I'm very aware of like what mine is and how credit scores are overall graded, but like all the specific details and all that kind of stuff of like what really hurts your score and how much it could drop if you do this and that. I just don't care enough to learn about it. And honestly, that's what this video is about today is I used to care so much about what my credit score was. I was so focused on it. I was checking it constantly. And now I ask myself like, for what? Like what's the big deal? And I think I don't want this to be misconstrued that okay, you can just have a shitty credit score and it doesn't matter, you shouldn't care about it. That's not what I'm saying. I think you should have a good credit score and it is important to have a good credit score because at certain points in life you will probably need one. You'll probably need to borrow some money, whether that's for a car or for a home or maybe a business loan. So having a good credit score is good and it's important. But the lifestyle that I've been living over the past few years, I'm debt free. I haven't borrowed money in I couldn't even tell you how long. Um, Aside from like using my credit cards, but I pay them off in full every month. I've quite literally never paid a penny of interest on my credit cards, and I never plan to because there's only one winner in credit cards. Either the credit card company's winning or you're winning. And most of the time, the credit card company is going to win because people don't pay off their credit cards in full every single month and they end up paying interest. Even if you have your interest free period of a year or 6 months or whatever it is, sooner or later, most people end up paying interest. That's not going to be me. I'm not going to be that person. I refuse to pay interest. There's no need for it. So I play the game in my favor and I make it work, but that's because I only use my credit card for things that I could buy in cash if I needed to. And how that looks is just paying off your credit card in full every month. And until the day comes that I can't quite literally can't pay off my credit card in full, I'm going to continue using them because I know how to use them and I know how to make the most of them and I get my points and I get my discounts and all that stuff and I'm building up good credit. But aside from my credit cards, I haven't taken out debt since my student loans and I just haven't needed to. I own my car, I rent an apartment. I don't need a personal loan for anything. I don't need to consolidate any debt because I'm not in debt. So I just really have not needed my credit score for really anything because I don't borrow money. And that's kind of why at this point in my life, I just don't really care about my credit score. I don't even check it that often. The last time it was, my credit score was even run was because getting into an apartment, which is a factor, I will say. Um, but as long as you have a decent credit score, you'll get approved. It's not like you need to be in the 800s to get approved for an apartment. And I just feel like, I don't know, a huge emphasis is put on credit scores. And again, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying just forget about your credit score and let it like dive and, not worry about the consequences of having a shitty credit score. I'm just saying if you see your credit score drop a little bit for whatever reason, don't freak out and think like, your financial life is over by any means. Like, because that happened to me a couple times where again, when I paid off my loans and my score dropped, but I also I always kept my credit score pretty low. And then I think one month I bought a couple of things. I bought a new phone. I bought a new iPhone. This was back in like 20. Oh, you know what I think happened? Here's what I think happened. So I bought a new iPhone, and I think at the same time I had bought my Mac Mini. So I ran up like a decent, I mean, for me, like a decent balance on my credit card. It was much higher than, any balance I had ever run up before. And then once the statement posted, I think my utilization ratio was, you know, I don't even know what it was. It was higher than my normal ratio. And I think it kind of triggered something with my credit card. And they were like, oh, this guy's spending a lot more money than normal. So it dropped my credit score a little bit. And I was concerned at first. I was worried. I was like, oh, what do I need to do to fix this kind of thing? But now, if my credit score dropped 50 points, I'd be like, doesn't even matter. Like, I'll get it back up in a few months once I make, all my online payments. I don't know why my credit score would drop that much right now, but let's say hypothetically it did. I really wouldn't freak out because I just don't need my credit score right now. The only reason I really would is if I were to, look into getting a house or a condo or something like that. But, I have a solid credit score, so maybe I feel this way because I have a bit of a buffer. If I was down in like the low, in a lower bracket, I guess you could say, where a 50-point hit would hurt me a lot more than it would now, maybe I'd think differently. But maybe that's a product of me, being so conscious of it over the past, few years and really working up to a good credit score. So I don't know. Maybe that's an aspect of it that I haven't really thought of that maybe I should. Um, but overall, I just want to kind of to make this video and kind of let you guys know what I think on credit scores right now. And it's just, I don't place that much of an emphasis on it. And I will say too, like, I know times are kind of tough right now and it's hard to save money and invest, but I've done a pretty decent job of saving and investing over the past like 5 years or so, especially once like right after COVID hit, I got really aggressive with it. And I have some money set aside in savings and investments and stuff like that. And like, this is something that I preach on my channel a lot is like having that money set aside. It just gives you a peace of mind knowing that, if something bad happens, I have the money to take care of it. And I wouldn't have to borrow money in order to buy a new car or, pay for a move or sustain my lifestyle for 6 months if, God forbid, I was to lose my job. So I think maybe my comfort also stems from that, and my lack of sort of care about my credit score at the moment probably stems from the fact that I do have, an emergency fund and I have some investments and all that kind of stuff. So that's another factor as well. But again, when it comes to credit scores right now, I don't really place much emphasis on it. It doesn't really matter to me, because I know I'm okay. If I needed to pay for something or, if I needed to, I don't know, if something broke or my car, or, anything like that, I have money set aside. So I think, as I'm saying this video, I think I'm, kind of coming to realize that really having a safety net is the reason that I'm not necessarily too worried about my credit score and that's because, I have the ability to take care of things and not borrow money if an inconvenience or a problem does pop up. But again, want to stress the importance that, credit scores are important. You will need them in life, whether it's for, a job or getting approved for an apartment or for a loan or many different things like that. I'm just not really too focused on it right now because I don't need to be in at this point in my life. So yeah, I just, wanted to kind of talk to you guys about my thoughts on credit scores and kind of where my headset is, my mindset is on them right now. And again, it probably, my thoughts on it probably stems from the other financial decisions and the financial position I've put myself in. So yeah, that's really all I wanted to talk to you guys about today. If you are new here, I post every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern time, as well as on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern time. I just talk about all kinds of things, man. Personal finance, investing, budgeting, life experiences, just my opinion on different topics. And I just like to talk about it on here, throw it over some gameplay. And I will say too, I appreciate all the support you guys have been giving me on my videos, man. The likes, the comments, and everything like that. Like, it means a lot to me. This is something that I've wanted to do for a while, and I just constantly put it off. I don't know if I was nervous or worried about failing, but either way, I'm doing it now, and I just really appreciate your guys' support, and I can't thank you enough. So for this video, if you have any sort of opinions or thoughts on credit scores, or kind of how you go about navigating your credit, or maybe you're working on your credit for a specific goal, share all that in the comments, man. I want to hear what you guys are doing. I want to definitely like interact with you guys more and really hear like, on this channel I share a lot about my life, my opinion, my experiences, but I want to hear what you guys got going on too. So definitely share that in the comments below, and I appreciate you guys as always, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.